All right, 8th grade. Well, we're getting into our last video today for chapter 1. Continuing here in this first chapter of solving equations, and our first set of directions tells us to solve the equation for y. So basically, if we're going to solve the equation for y, it means that we want the equation to basically end up reading y equals something, whatever that works out to be. So if I look at this first example, the first thing that I want to do is to isolate wherever the y is. So what I want to do is I want to add x to this side, which gives me 0. And then I'm going to come over here and add x. Now this is leading us into something that we'll call slope-intercept form, but that's a little ahead of where we need to go today. But I want to just get whatever has the y by itself. So my next level then gets me to 5y equals 10 plus x. Now, what I have to do now, because it has to be y isolated, with 5y, I'm going to have to divide everything by 5. So that's going to be divided by 5. That's going to be divided by 5. 5y divided by 5 equals y. 10 divided by 5 equals 2. And then remember, x divided by 5, I don't really want to leave it as x over 5. But let's remember that dividing something by 5 or 5 over 1 is the same as multiplying it by 1 over 5. It's just doing the opposite thing with the inverse fraction. So inverse operation, instead of dividing by 5 over 1, we're multiplying by 1 over 5. Remember, that's the idea when we would divide fractions and mixed numbers. We would have to make the reciprocal of the divisor. So timesing something by 1 over 5, instead of x divided by 5, I'm going to say that I am multiplying 1/5 times x. And this will be my final answer here. I don't really want to see x divided by 5. I want us to remember that dividing something by 5 over 1 is the same as multiplying it by 1 over 5. All right, let's go to the next one. 12 equals 6x plus 3y. Well, first of all, I want to get 3y by itself. So I have to get rid of this 6x. That's going to give me 0. Well, which means that I have to subtract 6x from this side, which means that I have 12 minus 6x equals 3y. Well, once again, I need y by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by 3. Well, 12 divided by 3 is 4. 6x divided by 3 is 2x. It's a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Then bring the x down. 3y divided by 3 equals y. And if you had y equals 4 minus 2x, you could do that. If it read y equals negative 2x plus 4, you could do that too. That's the thing about algebra. We want to remember that we can do opposite things with using adding and subtracting with positive and negative integers. So we want to remember all of those items. All right, last one in this section for solve the equation for y. 4x minus 4y equals 1. Well, I've got negative 4y, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4x. That's going to give me 0, which is going to leave me with negative 4y equals 1 minus 4x. Well, I want to get rid of the negative 4 because I need y by itself. So I'm going to divide by negative 4, which is, and I'm going to divide this by negative 4, and I'm going to divide this by negative 4. Let's kind of see how we can kind of use some mental math and not necessarily maybe have to write this all down. Well, a negative and a negative, of course, gives me a positive. That's just 1, so that's going to be y. 1 divided by negative 4 is just going to be a negative 1 over 4. Because remember, a fraction is just a division problem. So it's going to be a negative 1 over 4. Negative 4 and negative 4, once again, make 1. Okay? And So it's going to be minus, or it's actually going to end up being plus x, negative 1/4 plus x, because when I take a negative 4x and I divide it by negative 4, the negative in the negative gives me a positive. And of course, if I wanted to make this read y equals x minus 1/4, these are just two ways of writing the exact same thing. All right, well, moving right along, I'm going to kind of set that up there. Let's look at our second set of directions to finish up our video for today. Solve the formula for the red variable. So it's the same philosophy of what we just did, where we would solve the equation for y, but now we're looking at different formulas for finding certain values of certain things for the red variable. So one of the variables in each of our three examples, see some paint on my leg. I was painting my hallway. But anyway, that's exciting. We have the red variable, and we need to go ahead and solve for the red variable. All right, so area of a rectangle, A equals BH. So we have B being the red variable, and we need to isolate it. So to get B by itself, I have to divide everything by H. Now remember, if I divide this side by H, I need to divide that side by H, which means if I clear this out, that's just going to give me A over H. And this here, the H divided by H is just going to be 1. That's just going to leave me with B. And that is my final answer. Simple interest. Interest equals principal times rate times time. It is the P in principal that is red. Now to get rid of that R and the T, we're going to have to divide it by rate times time. And if I divide over here by rate times time, I'm going to have to divide over here by rate times time. All right? Which leaves me with interest over rate times time. That's going to cancel itself out, the R and the T. That's just going to be 1. That's going to equal the principal. Interest divided by whatever the product of the rate and the time are, those two multiplied together, equals the principal. Last one, surface area of a cylinder. The surface area of a cylinder equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Well, there's a variety of different things that we could do here. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to rewrite this up here. I'm going to go S equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. And I know it's the h that I'm isolating. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to subtract 2 pi r squared. And there's some different ways you could do this problem. I'm just going to show you one way. That's going to equal 0. But if I subtract 2 pi r squared from this side, I have to subtract it from this side. So that's going to leave me with s minus 2 pi r squared, because I'm going to subtract it from the side with the s, equals what's left, which is 2 pi r h. Now remember, it's h that we're solving for. Okay, it's h that we're solving for. So I'm thinking, well, okay, if I have 2 pi r h here, all right, what I want to do is I want h by itself. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to divide this whole thing by 2 pi r, not 2 pi r squared. Let me get rid of that. Which means that I need to take this whole thing and divide it by 2 pi r. All right, so First of all, if I do this side, I know it's just going to leave me with h. Now this side, I have the 2 pi r squared. So I want to think, okay, what in the world is going on? Well, first of all, I know that those two can cancel out. I know that those two can cancel out. Okay, and so s minus, now r squared divided by r is just going to leave me with r, because r squared divided by r is just going to leave me with r, because I just subtract the exponents. So I end up with s minus r equals h. All right, we'll talk to you later, 8th graders. Bye.